Hi there. This is a love letter meant especially for coaches and therapists and facilitators, really everyone who is holding space for the deep emotional work that people are doing, whether individually or in groups. I know that you're holding a lot of complexity, especially right now in the middle of a pandemic, and I just want to send you my solidarity and love and gratitude. I'm in the trenches with you. My name is Heather. I'm the author of the book, The Art of Holding Space. So I've spent much of my adult life holding space for complexity. But I have to admit, there have not been many more complex times, possibly any more complex times than what we're in right now in the middle of a pandemic. And most of us can't do the work the same way we once did. So we're in complexity, our clients are in complexity. And so this is just meant to support you and give you love in that work and to let you know you're not alone. I've created these little mini videos with a little bit of the teaching that I do. This is meant as a free gift for you, just to help you as you support your clients in whatever complexity they're in the middle of. Let's begin by talking about a definition of disruption. Disruption is the action of preventing something, especially a system, process, or event, from continuing as usual or as expected. It's an interruption in the usual way that a system, process, or event works. Now, I don't need to talk for a long time about the definition of disruption because we are all in the middle of a really significant global disruption. About 19 months ago, the pandemic ground the world to a halt, and all of us, every single person on the planet has had some disruption. It's disrupted us from very small ways to very large and significant ways. And so you as therapists, coaches, facilitators, you are trying to hold space for a lot of people, everyone that comes into your spaces, dealing with disruption in their lives. Now, if a person is well-resourced, and I'm going to make an assumption that your clients are coming to you for some of those resources, they're coming to you for some emotional support. If they are well-resourced, the disruption can be an invitation onto a journey. Now, I'm not making an assumption about people because there are many, many people who are not as well-resourced who simply have to figure out how to survive right now. And so this isn't so much for them. This is more for the people that have the capacity to consider that this disruption might actually be an opportunity for transformation, that there may be something for them, a gift for them to receive that will change them, that will help them grow in this time. One of the tools that I use for my clients and have for many years to help them understand these times of disruption and change and how to be present for them is the labyrinth. A labyrinth is a metaphorical journey that we can make. We can walk it, or we can do finger labyrinths, or there's some online versions that are quite helpful. And there are 3 stages of a labyrinth journey. There's the release, the journey inward. It's to release all of the old stories, old narratives, the baggage, the expectations that you might have that are no longer being met. All of those things can be let go as you're stepping into the labyrinth. And I want to point out that it's a very winding journey. There are lots of twists and turns. It's not a straight linear journey. But the work of the inward journey is to let go. And then when you come to the center, you've had some emptying and you are ready to receive some kind of gift. Now, if you use spiritual language, the language of God or spirit or source, you can talk about receiving from God, spirit, source, or you can simply talk about receiving some of your inner wisdom that was hidden from you when you had all of that baggage that was getting in the way. And then the outward journey is the return. And that's when you take the gift and you take the same long winding journey to really deepen and enrich the gift so that you can bring it back to your journey, to your village, to the people who rely on you or who are coming to you for wisdom, whoever is showing up as your village. I use the labyrinth to, in this metaphor that I talk about, I call it the spiral of authenticity. And it's a model for helping us understand this inward journey that helps us to become more and more true to ourselves and more in touch with our own open hearts. And you can see this isn't exactly a labyrinth. I use a spiral just to kind of simplify it a little bit, but you can imagine this is still a long and winding road that takes many twists and turns along the way. This really, a disruption is it's like an invitation onto this journey. It's a choice that you make. You can choose to become more authentic, and I would guess that your clients coming to you have made that choice. Or some people choose to step back and say, no, I'm going to keep life as it was before today. I'm going to do my best to cling to safety and belonging. But those who choose to step onto the path, there are again these 3 stages of the journey. First, there is the releasing. As you move towards open-heartedness, you move through some insecurity where you suddenly feel kind of lost because things aren't what they used to be. There's disconnection. Suddenly you might feel very disconnected from people you once knew because they don't really know you anymore. There's a sense that you are becoming someone new, and maybe you lose some trust, or you might even lose some relationships in that process. Or in other cases, you might deepen some relationships, but there is the testing out of some of that. There's releasing, there's unmasking, becoming a little more true to yourself. There's truth telling. There's some healing that needs to happen. For most of us, we've had some wounds that we have to heal as we release. And there's an opening so that we arrive eventually at a place where we are more open-hearted. I want to say these words, I've put them in an order, but there is no linear order to this. So you're kind of jumping back and forth between these experiences on that inward journey. And then at the center is the receiving. There you have come to a place of an open heart. You're now open to receiving healing, love, generosity, community, and a sense of your own vocation. And there's an element of trust and surrender needed before you can really open your heart to this place. And I also want to say, and I talk a lot more about this in my book, an open heart is not an unprotected heart. It is a heart that chooses wisely how to nurture and protect itself. And you can learn more I teach a concept called the psychic membrane, which is really about protecting that open heart. Then there is the outward journey, the returning. And once again, not a linear journey, but some of the things that are happening as you're returning, there's a sense of emerging. You're coming out of this journey that you've been on. You're beginning to reveal who you are. You are learning to trust people in a new way. Hopefully you're connecting with your people now. It may be the same people, may be completely different people, but there's a deepening into a more true sense of community. There's some rising and offering and learning to give the gift to the people that are waiting to receive it. And that might be a really small circle. It might just be your family that's benefiting from you having a deeper sense of yourself. And it might be a much broader circle if you are a teacher, or if the person that you're coaching is working with larger groups of people. Once you've made that journey, and I want to say it's not a one-time journey, it's I think we go through it probably multiple times in our lives, many stages, and there's a lot of complexity. I won't go into all of that today, but you can read more about it. But when you've gone through some sense of this journey, you reach a place where you are much more well-resourced. And there's a little diagram here. This is referring back to some other teaching I do in one of my other workshops, where I talk about our primary needs for safety, belonging, and identity. And the more overlapped they are, you see this is kind of a Venn diagram, the more we're having those needs met, the more well-resourced we are, more able we are to live authentically in our communities, balance our own needs with other people's needs. We have a greater sense of self-leadership, resilience, and courage, and we make better decisions. So this is really our ultimate task in supporting our clients, is helping them get to this place of greater authenticity and being more well-resourced. So just a few tips as you're helping clients along this journey. First of all, I would suggest that you help them understand what disruption is, and you can use these tools. I've got many more in my book to talk about this transformation, disruption, and the spiral of authenticity. I've had many, many people who come to me as coaches and therapists and say it was such a gift to their client for them to finally understand what kind of journey they were on, and to see it in even if it's only just a two-dimensional diagram. It just helps feel more like they're not crazy, or that they're going through a journey that has purpose and meaning and value. You can give them tools such as this, the spiral of authenticity, so they feel less baffled by what they're in the middle of. And you can learn to hold space for them in a way that helps them feel safe and not judged for what they're experiencing. My book has lots more information about that, and I also encourage you to sign up for some of our programs to deepen your practice of holding space. Offer guidance on practices such as labyrinth walking. I've had many clients who take up some form of labyrinth walking. There's lots of other practices as well, art making, movement practices, etc., that help them release and process as they go on this journey. Now that's just been a really short snippet, and it's a fast version of this. I do longer versions of it for clients and for retreats and all the workshops that I teach, but I wanted to give you a little taste of it. You can find out more in my book, The Art of Holding Space, A Practice of Love, Liberation, and Leadership. There's lots more on our website, centerforholdingspace.com. I also want to invite you to consider joining us for our foundation program in Holding Space. If you go to our website, you click on the certification link, and then on the foundation program link, you'll find all of the information to join us. We have another session starting. Usually we start them in October. So if you're watching this sometime in October, this session in 2021 is starting October 25th. But we have lots of other resources on that website as well. I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you a really great week and hopefully a good and peaceful year.